Regarding to a reputed, open-minded society, which brings a lot of new options with it, some young women are still struggling with their own identity. Finding a way between tradition, the norm, feminism, and self-determination is not easy. Are there rules how femininity should be lived out? Are there really borders which mustn't be crossed when it comes to individual lifestyle or enjoying one's own identity? Why are there still so many prejudices? And this isn't just about men judging women, but it's also about women judging women, or even women judging themselves. So, what does it actually mean being a young woman living in today's Western society? We have come a long way in history, affording diversity within modern society which may enable us to reach individual fulfillment. But increasing possibilities in personal development just seem to add more pressure. Such a wide range of options, combined with the diverse opinionated leaders and social movements and trends, convey the impression that there are so many things to do right and so many things to do wrong, all at the same time. As a consequence, the force of becoming perfect affects a young woman's well-being in an immense way. The feeling of making mistakes seems to become an established state of mind. This can feel like a huge hurdle, impacting us like the black collar on a painting would. We tend to live our lives according to specific values of orientation, especially when it comes to our own opinion. Speaking out and getting yourself heard presupposes a strong and defined personality, and this is a valuable commodity. But often it isn't easy to find an opinion you can really stand up for. Above all, it is the media-dominated society in which there is an abundance of opinions being exchanged that misleads to adapt unchecked and foreign opinions as one's own. Developing an own opinion entails dealing with oneself and surrounding oneself with appropriate and well-founded knowledge. Our perception of beauty is mostly shaped by current social norms and through the ever-present media. Thus it seems as if an objectively shaped sense of beauty, away from cultural and social influences, is not possible. It may only be a subconscious decision, but the outer influences and social standards still penetrate the core of oneself. So much so, we don't even notice we're starting to change ourselves. Young women carry the burden of being the fairer sex their entire life long. In a certain way, they are expected to have a fixed attitude towards their own appearance, and how that pleases others, not themselves. However, developing a healthy ideal of beauty, which is objective and shaped truly from the inside, is important and definitely worthwhile discovering. Developing a healthy relationship to one's own sexuality and its expression is a very important point in a young woman's life. In a heteronormative society, the role of femininity is still strongly to be determined. Tabooing of a young woman's free sexual development leads to an ever-degrading attitude towards women who are more sexually active than others. There's this widespread impression that a young woman's sexual pleasure is something unacceptable. But female sexuality cannot be perceived as something only attributed to the function of procreation, but also, and rather more importantly, of self-determination and of liberty. parental role allocations are rigidly designed. There are many areas regarding women and their roles as mothers which are distributed unfairly. Society still expects women to have children. Considering the fact that young childbearing women are still the ones mostly responsible for child rearing and care, as well as the fact that they are less likely to be hired or level up in the workplace simply because pregnancy can lead to taking days off work, are scenarios that still need to be questioned. Then we have those women who decide to go to work. They are also sentenced by society. Furthermore, the age of a woman's pregnancy also seems to play a huge role in social discourse. If you start a family at a young age, it is assumed that this happened by accident, because it wouldn't be a young woman's intention to throw her professional career away. On the other hand, should you decide to conceive children at a matured age, and thus are too late to have children, you are judged too. Throughout the past decades of previous generations' struggles, reflected within the mirror of society, there have been expectations made that pressure young women to seize these hard-won privileges. The right to work can become a new burden on a young woman's shoulders, in the same way that deciding to start a family as a young woman may be perceived as throwing away opportunities. And even if you accept these privileges, you are confronted with the collision of traditional versus modern lifestyles. This is reflected in the wage gap between men and women, as well as the position within the career fields. Therefore, there still remains the question as to what extent emancipation has really grown, and how far we've come to actually talk about equality without being judged. A young woman's strength is a calm and subtle one, yet it's equally a powerful and mighty one that often doesn't present itself in a dominant way. Women have to meet certain expectations: giving birth, raising children, keeping a household going, saying yes to a lesser income than that of a man, all the while also making sure she is beautiful, desirous, and in great shape, so that she is wanted and accepted. It's partly because of this that for a long time there have been a lack of role models for women to look up to, and so created a world in which it wouldn't be easy to follow one's own path and a self-determined, independent way of life for young women. The strength of a woman lies in the burden of deciding which way she wants to live her life, battling between the relations of traditions, emancipation, and self-determination. We live in a society of increasing diversity in which every person should be able to unfold and develop freely. When it comes to evolving, finding self-love, and really loving who you are, young women are influenced by many factors. Comparing yourself with others has never been so extreme. Social media increases the duress of self-presentation and thus intensifies a specific image of beauty. Such an illusion of beauty entails a displaced picture of normality, which leads to a constant confrontation with oneself's outer appearance. Existing beauty portrayals should only serve as orientation, but should never lead to the narrowing of one's own self. Inner and outer beauty always lies in the eye of the beholder. Acceptance and love for yourself and who you are, no matter what you look like from the outside or how different you may be from the inside, is more important than ever. Female gender cannot be understood as a role that either expresses or disguises an interior self. It is a socially constructed act which builds the social fiction of its own psychological interior. Gender identity are repeated and stylized acts that have been drilled into us through time. So there isn't such a thing as a pre-existing female identity, by which an act or attribute might be measured as a proper female one. There is no true or false, real or distorted acts of female gender. Therefore, there is no specific femininity or female identity you have to follow or represent. In the end, the most important person is you and who you decide to be.